we weren't balking at it.
I'd like to call to order
Donation that
regular board meeting
but
for
she
June
wanted to
26,
check.
2024. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ferrari?
Here.
Mrs. Taliani?
Here.
Mr. Murbaugh? Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mrs. Alcorn?
Here.
Mr. Pacetto?
Here.
Mr. Sarver?
Here. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
She didn't want
Good evening, everyone.
staff to pay, you know.
I would like the board to go over last month's regular meeting minutes, May 15th, 2024. If there are no additions or corrections, I need a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mrs. Alcorn?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes. Under recognitions this evening, this is always one of my favorite parts of the night, to be very honest with you. So we can kind of strut our stuff and honor our students, our faculty members, our coaches, and our staff. And tonight, we have state qualifiers from our tennis team, girls and boys track teams. I'm gonna go over the list, and after I go over the list, then we're gonna come down, and then we're gonna bring you up individually and have you meet the board, and then get a certificate of recognition. For girls track and field, we have Ellie Sines, who in 100-meter hurdles. Ellie finished 5th place in the state. Also in girls track, we have Aubrey Duttlinger. Long jump, Aubrey finished 17th in the state, and triple jump, Aubrey finished 21st in the state. And their coaching staff, head coach is Mr. John Beatty, assistants, Ms. Madeline Pillar, Mr. Dan Burkhart, Mr. Noah Hancock, Mr. Matt Rebholz, and Mr. Patrick Carney. In boys tennis, we have a doubles team that made it state. Andrew Bolus, who was a 4-time state qualifier. This is his 4th time with 3 different partners. So that's quite an achievement in itself. And his partner was Daniel Santoy. Congratulations. The head coach of our boys tennis team is Aaron Gunther, with assistants Mr. Kevin Kavanaugh and Mr. Scott Blessman. In boys track and field, we had 2 state qualifiers. We had Richie Santiago in the disc and Griffin Hammers in the 800 meters. The head coach of our boys track and field is Mr. Adam Spencer with assistants Mr. Jose Medina, Mr. Colton Lazzarato, Mr. Nick McKee, Mr. Patrick Carney, and Mr. Scott Blessman. Okay, at this time, I'd like to bring up the individuals and meet the board and get a certificate of recognition. First, Miss Ellie Sines.
Great job.
Good job again.
Congratulations, only a junior, right?
Officially now, I love it.
You got another shot at it.
Yeah.
All right, congratulations.
I'm proud of you.
Congratulations.
Don't take any grief from him. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Aubrey Duttlinger. Head coach, Mr. John Beatty.
Proud to say it again.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Congratulations.
John, great job as always. Thank you.
Congratulations, Coach. Thank you.
Great job again this year.
Thank you.
Miss Madeline Pillar. Mr. Dan Burkhart.
It's all her over there.
Congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Dan, congratulations. Thank you very much.
Nice job, Coach. You're very welcome.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Mr. Noah Hancock. Mr. Matt Rebholz, Mr. Patrick Carney. All right, boys tennis, 4-time state qualifier, Mr. Andrew Bolus.
Great job again. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Sally,
Good luck.
cheers.
Nice job, buddy. Proud of you.
Congratulations.
I know you get it from your mama.
There's no doubt about that. Wow. Daniel Santoy. No. Okay. Mr. Aaron Gunther. Mr. Kevin Kavanaugh.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Hi, Kevin.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
And Mr. Scott Blessman. Okay. Boys track and field, Richie Santiago.
Keep running.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you.
Nice job, buddy.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Griffin Hammers. Nope. Head coach, Mr. Adam Spencer.
Thank you, thank you,
Thanks
thank
for
you.
what you're doing.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Nice job, Coach.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good job, Spence.
Thanks, Sally.
Mr. Jose Medina, Mr. Colton Lazzarato, Mr. Nick McKee, Mr. Patrick Carney, and Mr. Scott Flessman.
Do you want to see?
Everybody's on vacation. They said Blessman might be outside.
Who might be outside? We locked them out?
I don't know. They locked. I got locked out.
You got locked out?
Uh,
I walked right
not
in.
today.
Yeah, it wasn't locked.
Yeah.
At a committee
I
meeting.
locked it.
Yeah.
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 Well, it didn't take me twice. I knocked once and I was out of here.
The one knock rule.
You got all the drinkers in the pool right now?
Yeah.
No? Okay. Okay, we need a picture.
Yep.
Yeah, Spence is looking to see if he's out there.
Okay.
He's young.
Well, Hammers is here. There's Hammers right there.
Well, he just was.
Is it Nick?
No. Griffin Hammers.
Griffin.
Oh, Griffin.
There's the skinny
There we go. Okay. All right.
He said he'd come on in
Griffin.
here.
All right, Mr. Griffin Hammers.
There you go, Mike. Good job, you made it.
Yeah.
Good job.
Did you run here from Oglesby?
Well, I hope not. Congratulations.
I would name
Nice
my
job,
daughter.
buddy. Well done.
2 houses.
Congratulations.
Keep that. Okay.
All right, now go get a picture.
Right, all of our athletes and coaches?
Go get a picture. Hey, look good, Red.
So have you heard from Underwood's office?
Pardon me?
Have you heard from Underwood's
Nothing
office?
new since the one thing we heard, we passed that the last hurdle, and I mean whatever it was recently, and they had cut our request from 750 to 550. I mean, I told him I wouldn't expect it to hold down
We'll be
anyway, but we're still in the pool, so it's good, you know.
Okay.
I thought you said that wasn't happening for like till August.
No. He died back in May, and I said it was going to
But
be
I
like
had
late June.
Kathy Nowell's a good friend, and
Yeah.
She
Why are
had-
we doing Thursday instead of Friday?
once we found.
She
you know,
said
'cause
she
we'd never-
called you
we'd never
first
done
and
that, yeah.
Friday.
we haven't done that before.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
We
can do
hadn't
whatever
done it
you
before
want.
either until this campaign.
Yeah.
So
I
we
can't
set
do
it
that
up with
tomorrow, and
a
it makes
trust
me feel bad.
Right.
department in a bank,
Yeah, yeah,
and they're managing it.
yeah.
He's
And
not
I,
there
you know,
yet.
we didn't bother.
There's a cost to it.
But it's legal, legal expenses, and that.
I'll
we
see you
didn't
at
want
Kansas
that.
this weekend, I'm
Kathy
sure.
was just-
Sure.
And your
she
brother.
wanted to make sure,
No, his,
'cause she didn't want.
His wife got in
the
last night and they are heading
not-for-profits to have to
straight
pay
back on
anything. I
Friday
said,
morning
Kathy,
west.
we're not
Oh, really?
fussing about it, but
Driving.
we
Oh,
figured
boy.
you needed, you
Just
want,
picked
you
up a
would
new
want to
vehicle
know,
in Maryland.
knowing her.
All right.
Ford Bronco.
Not crazy about them, but people love them.
I see no
But she said
purpose.
she'd done it.
Yeah,
She'd done
people.
that.
20 miles to the gallon.
Don Knox,
Of course,
friend,
they're all
is
saying,
married to Kim
you know, they
Bieterstadt.
have a
He's got
whole
one, and he absolutely loves it.
For a long time,
Me?
they've had
No, we're set up to do that. It's,
foundation all
Okay.
My brother
everything
trucks
and
and sports cars.
big staff.
Okay, this evening under public comment, we have one person signed up for public comment, Miss Wendy Newsom. Just to go over real quick, you get 5 minutes. At the 4-minute mark, I'll let you know if you have a minute left. And we would, appreciate it if you stayed within the 5 minutes.
Sure.
Only because this is a business meeting and we have a lot of things to cover tonight.
100%.
Not that what you're saying is not important. I'm just saying.
No,
just let them-
I completely understand.
Thank you very much. And whenever you're ready.
Okay, I'm Wendy Newsom. I'm the a program manager with International Student Exchange. I'm based out of our Bayshore, New York, Long Island office. You may have already ascertained from my accent that I did not come here from there. I work remotely, but I'm here representing them. So I'm coming on behalf tonight of Adeline Margus, who is a local regional advisor with our organization and has been for the last couple of years. I've had the pleasure of working with their team myself just for about the last 6 months or so as their program manager, and have gotten to know Adeline and her manager Jamie, who is also accompanying us today. But we're coming simply because Adeline has made me aware that she has had, particularly this year, but also over the last 2 or 3 years while she's been with our organization, some families come and show interest in hosting an exchange student with us. And we've not been able to secure any slots, and so I'm coming to appeal to you guys about that. So let me say first, we're a nonprofit organization. We have several arms, but the one that we represent here tonight is our J1 visa program. So that's different than some other programs that you may or may not be familiar with, but the J1 allows a high school age student to come here for either a semester or an entire school year. They live with a volunteer host family. Our families are not compensated, nor are we allowed to compensate them under the Department of State guidelines. But the students live with them as essentially a part of their family for the year. And so having hosted myself, that's how I got into this situation. As a host parent originally, I can attest to the absolute life-changing experience that it is for both the family and for the student. And I know that historically, the schools here in your district have worked with Rotary. So I don't want to appear in any way that I'm knocking that. They have a great program. They're a fantastic organization. They do a tremendous amount of good work in the community, and it's a good program. Our plea to you guys is that we've not been able to secure those school slots because they've been reserved for Rotary students. I don't think the Rotary has been able to fill those slots the last few years, at least maybe since COVID. So they're kind of going unused. But also I feel like there's a really good opportunity for us to work hand in hand with Rotary, because it's while it's very similar in that the kids live with a volunteer host family, and so those similarities are there. The Rotary students, if you're not familiar with how that works, they come and they live for a shorter period of time. I think you're familiar with that, 3 months or
3 months,
3
yeah.
months. They live about 3 months with their host family. They stay in the same school, but then they move on to a different family. So it's a bit of a different dynamic, both for the student and for the family, because it's short term. So what we're advocating is that our program offers a vastly different experience in that over the course of 10 months, if you host a student for the entire year, as you can imagine, teenagers are very much the same no matter where they've come to you from. So you're going to ride the roller coaster of the good, the bad, the ugly, all the things in between, and you're really going to share life with them in a unique and different way than you would in a short-term program. Simply because when it's short-term, we can all be on our best behavior. I think that's probably arguable, for a short amount of time. For 10 months, it's a little more difficult to hide that, both for the families and for the students. And so you know, it's a completely different bond and different kind of experience. And so I'm so hopeful. I've spent the last day here kind of touring around your area. It's my first time up in this part of Illinois, and I'm going to say it's kind of beautiful. Your school, ridiculously beautiful. I'm going to be taking some pictures out there when I leave. But I think this could be a really fantastic environment for our students. I think they could thrive here. I think the demographic of your community, your school, all of that is just ripe for our host families and our students. And we would so appreciate the opportunity to partner with you guys along with the partnership that you already have with Rotary, to bring at least 1 or 2 students to start with into the district and see how it goes, see how they do. I think I'm pretty well satisfied in saying that our local team does a fabulous job of support. I don't really know how Rotary operates with support. We have area representatives that are going to walk the path with our families and our students from the airport, from actually prior to the airport until the day they go home. We check on them more than the Department of State requires us to do. Our company's very strict about that. We have a much more stringent requirement for that, so that we are very involved with our students, with our host families, and we can make some assurances to you that even if things are not particularly beautiful with our families and our students, if problems arise, and we're talking about human beings, and so problems are going to arise from time to time, we're going to be there and we're going to take care of that. We have a phenomenal support system that starts here locally and goes all the way up the food chain all the way to the top. And so we also have a pretty strict reputation in this industry for not tolerating a whole lot of nonsense from our students. So if nonsense arises, we deal with that pretty quickly and decisively. So so that being said, I'm not going to ask you for any kind of answer while you're sitting here, but I would offer questions. If you have any questions about how the program works or what it looks like, we would be happy to answer those.
Does anybody have any questions?
This is very thorough.
I'd like to look over this stuff.
Sure. So Adeline has given you some information a little bit about how our accreditation works.
You have a minute.
1 minute. And I think we are asking specifically for Amanda and Rick Davis, who are trying to host Alicia from Spain for the fall. That's the student that Adeline is specifically recommending right now. They're in hopes to be able to host Alicia this fall for the entire school year.
What are the other countries that you sponsor from?
We have, prior to COVID, I would have said we had about 40. Now, since COVID, that number's probably cut in half. We're building it back a little bit every year. We have most of the European countries represented. We typically bring a few students from South America, a few from Central America, and then we have Taiwan, China, Vietnam, Thailand, Japan represented in Asia. So a pretty good cross section, and our kids are pretty well vetted and tested as far as like English and that kind of stuff before they come.
What's the time frame that you need to have a decision for the Davis family?
Yes. No, I'm just kidding. In all reality, as soon as possible, simply because if we're not going to be able to place Alicia with that family, we're gonna need to regroup and be able to find her another host family. Our Department of State deadline is the end of August. We really try to be finished before then. August 23rd is when we would like to finish. But the sooner we can not nail it down, the sooner they can begin to communicate with each other and get to know each other. That really helps everybody for more success in the long run, the longer they can communicate prior to arrival.
Okay, any other questions?
All right. Thank you so much
Thank
for your
you.
time. I appreciate it. You have a lovely school.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, tonight in the President's Report, I have a couple of topics to hit. The first one is just a reminder that we do not meet in July. There's not a July regular board meeting. So our next regular scheduled board meeting will be August 21st.
School will be back in session for weeks.
I remember what that was like. The second point I would like to make is a response to last month's public comment. The Board of Education was given information on the health education curriculum concerning human sexuality unit. We were informed that certain topics were discussed, and we as the Board of Education should look into what was being taught. We did look into the allegations, and after discussions with the instructors and students, found that the information that the Board of Education reported last month is correct. In human sexuality unit, we teach abstinence, male and female reproductive systems, and contraception from the textbook. There are no videos or demonstrations used in the class, which is in a direct contradiction of the information reported by public comment. I would like to commend the instructors, Ms. Nikki Gibson and Mr. Scott Blessman, for the great job they do on a daily basis dealing with some sensitive topics in our health curriculum. The video which was shown during public comment last month of Senator Sue Risen was from 2022 when Governor Pritzker's mandate was passed. Part of the mandate also allowed districts to opt out of the curriculum. The LPHS Board of Education did vote 7-0 to opt out of the mandate during the April 20th, 2022 regular meeting. That Crystal Longren was present and applauded our decision. That's why I was confused when she brought up the topic last month. We do feel sorry for the young lady that was exposed to the different human sexuality curriculum, which was the example used at last month's public comment. But she was not a student at LaSalle-Peru High School. The Board of Education was accused last month during the public comment that we did not know what is going on in our district. I can tell all of you that there may be situations that are dealt with on a daily basis by the administration, faculty, and staff that we become aware of after the situation. But when it comes to policies, facilities, programs, and curriculum, we are well aware of what is going on at LPHS and are proud to be involved. I'd like to end with that we encourage public comment. If there are issues that anyone feels the need to bring to the attention of the Board of Education, we are elected by the taxpayers and always try to make decisions that are in the best interest of all the stakeholders of the district. Thank you. All right, finance. I would like a motion to approve the bills and payroll for LaSalle-Peru Township High School.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mrs. Alcorn?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes. I need a motion to approve the bills and payroll for the LP Area Career Center.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Mrs. Alcorn?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes. I need a motion to approve the payroll report.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Alcorn?
Yes.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes. I need a motion to approve the financial records as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Mrs. Alcorn?
Yes.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes. Under correspondence this month, we have a thank you card from the LP Local 604 Federation of Teachers Union to the Board of Education and Dr. Obleski for the recognition and celebration for Teacher Appreciation Week. And we also received a thank you letter from Mrs. Cheryl DePape from the Board of Education's donation to the LP Educational Foundation in memory of Mr. Jose Medina, the father of Mr. Jose Medina. Board committee reports. Building and Grounds, Mr. Ferrari.
9 days ago, on Monday, June 17th, the Building and Grounds Committee met and had a rather lengthy meeting. And we are presenting 6 action items tonight for the board's consideration. We talked about the 3-year look-ahead report that the superintendent presented. We also discussed the installation of 2 retractable basketball hoops in the Salette gym that will be able to be lifted up and will not block the view of the new electronic scoreboards that were recently installed. And that has been recommended by the committee, and that is action item number 11.10D on tonight's agenda. There was also discussion of the school activity bus. The new unit is arriving or has arrived, and one of the items tonight is the sale of the old bus to pads, and that is action item number 11.4, and that was also recommended by the Building and Grounds Committee. There was a discussion of the field house proposed project, and talk about a recent visit to Rivas High School to view their field house that is under completion this summer. We also discussed the concrete repairs to Howard Fellows Stadium as part of the renovation project, and that is action number 11.8 on tonight's agenda, to approve the concrete repairs. The work for the renovations of the counseling office and the PE coaches' offices are currently ongoing, as is the installation of the ACC wing rolling garage door. There was discussion regarding the discus throwing area at the sports complex. There's been a couple of errant throws that got near the bleachers, and the proposal to cure that is to extend the netting another 7 feet in the air, which will require some new poles and additional netting. And that has been recommended by the committee, and that is action item number 11.10C tonight. The alternative would be to completely move the discus pit and aim it in a different direction, and that would be approximately 3.5 times the cost of increasing the safety netting. So we went with the safety netting. We discussed the security camera installations, and the order for the press box window is still apparently we're still waiting for some prices from Coolmaster. We discussed the projects over at the Dolan building, the health occupations classroom, the early childhood playground. We also discussed the need for a couple of newer fertilizer spreaders for the baseball and softball fields. And we have Mike Tominello has negotiated a good price on a couple of units, and we recommended that purchase, and that is action item number 11.10B on tonight's agenda. And finally, the purchase of a couple of golf carts to transport some of our elderly yeah, me too. Elderly people at the sports complex to and from the different locations. And the board also recommended that, which is action item number 11.10A. So we've got a full agenda tonight, all approved unanimously by the Building and Grounds Committee last week.
Are there any questions? All right, thank you, Mr. Ferrari. Finance Committee, tonight will be given by Dr. Obleski.
Thank you, Mr. Sarver. Finance Committee met on Tuesday, June 18th at 2:30 in the afternoon. We reviewed the monthly financials, our investment reports, and everything is on track. We're supposed to be. So we're coming in strong to the end of the fiscal year. We did spend a little bit of time reviewing our tax year 2023 extension reports. And if I could just take a moment to kind of talk about where those came in. When I presented the levy requests, and we kind of talked about the projected increase that the county was forecasting, we made the decision to be able to keep the tax rate flat, but then capture as much of the new EAV growth as possible. And so the estimate that I utilized was based on the estimate that we received from the county. Fortunately, the final EAV came in $18 million less than what was projected. So based on how our levy requests work, there are a couple of different funds that you get exactly what you asked for, where the other ones that are restricted, they adjust down based on where the actual EAV is. So as a result of our IMRF, Social Security, and our tort levies, based on what we were asking, that ended up resulting in an additional 2 cents being added to the tax rate to be able to capture that dollar amount that we had asked for. So, and unfortunately, that results in a 2 cent increase in our tax rate. But I thought it was important for us to be able to talk about the reason why, that it came in at that point. It was because of the estimate of the county came in less, and the risk then you always run though that if we would have gone, let's say, significantly lower than what the county had asked for, then you also run the risk then of if the final EAV comes in higher than the number that we put down, it doesn't work the other way. The county does not say, oh, we're going to give you the difference that you missed. Yeah, exactly. You're only going to get what you asked for. Any questions on the extension? Okay. We have 2 items for recommendation for the board tonight. This is item 11.7 A and B. We're recommending Prairie Farms. They were the sole bidder for milk dairy. They give us 2 recommendations. There is the firm and then the escalator. We're recommending the firm. The escalator has the potential to fluctuate based on gas prices and whatnot, and they're not that far apart. So we feel comfortable recommending the firm, and then we're recommending Alpha Baking, who's also the only bidder for our bread products, and they have been our vendor for the last decade plus as well. So we have that as a recommendation. Both on average about a 3% increase in pricing from where we were the previous year. I won't go over and repeat what Mr. Ferrari reported on in terms of some of the similar things that we had also talked about and reviewed. I won't. He's already identified what those areas are in the agenda. So other than that, that's all I have, unless there are questions.
Are there any questions? Thank you, Dr. Valesky.
Thank you.
Policy Committee, Mrs. Elkhorn.
Thank you. We met last Tuesday, and we talked about the press policy 114, and we had addressed that in the previous month, and there weren't any changes from that recommendation, so we recommend the approval of press policy 114. Press 115 is available. It's here on my table, and we will address that next month for first reading. Final exam waiver update and recommendation. One of the 2 goals that we have as a school district is to increase graduation and to reduce absenteeism. Those 2 things. And so we have found that the use of final exam waiver in the last year, 66% of our students used 1 or more of these waivers, and 1/3 of our class did 7 waivers. So we find that encouraging, important, and it's going to help us be directly positive in these 2 goals that we have assigned. Then we looked at the athletic cut policy, which we addressed somewhat last month. We recommend also that be approved. And we talked about the Safe School ID vendor security system, and that is just a discussion. It is about getting a system built where those who are not in the schools all the time, such as FedEx drivers and those kind of persons who might come into the school, that FedEx would vet them, would make sure that they were not sex offenders and et cetera, walking into the school. And we'd have some kind of security on who's in the school at any time. So Dr. Rubeski can address that, or we can just continue to discuss it.
Yep.
And see where that comes out. That's all.
Okay, are there any questions? Thank you, Mrs. Elkhorn. Administrative reports, superintendent's report, Dr. Valesky.
I know we have our building administrators were given the night off tonight, but I do want to publicly recognize Dr. Chris Gibson for the job that he did for the last 2 months of the school year. and not only performing his own duties, but also serving as the acting principal. He did a great job holding the fort down. We're thrilled to have Mrs. Cushing back in the saddle, but I thought it'd be appropriate to be able to recognize the job that Dr. Gibson did, taking on both of those duties. Our district audits, we're going to have preliminary field work is going to begin. It was originally scheduled on July 8th. It's now going to be July 3rd next week, that they're going to come out and begin collecting some initial information. And then in August, it'll be the week of August 12th to the 16th, they'll be on site to be conducting our audit. We would expect Mr. Newkirk to be here in either the October or the November board meeting to be able to give that report. On the ag program, I've had two very productive conversations. On May 20th, Dr. Gibson and I met with a group of parents, students, and community members that are very interested in helping to rekindle the ag program. Ended up getting, not only from the students that attended, they came the next day and gave me the names of about 30 other kids that they're aware of that are interested. And then the counseling department does an interest survey near the end of every school year, and we cross-referenced those names. We added a few more names to the list as well. So we're beginning to put plans in place that potentially, we expect them to be working in partnership with IVCC in the second semester of next year to offer a class that would actually get the program started, to be able to give kids an opportunity to be able to get an ag class. Would also open the doors to the FFA program. There's still a lot of moving pieces to this, but I just kind of share in general kind of what the timeline that we're looking at, with the hope and the goal that if all works out, then that we would be in a position then to begin looking for a full-time teacher that would be in the 25-26 school year. But IVCC has been a very great. They've been a very good partner in this. In fact, on June 20th, I met with the IVCC president, Dr. Tracy Morris, members of her leadership team in the ag department, just to do some brainstorming, on how we can potentially work together on that. And so we're getting some things in place, and I'll have more to report on this fall with the ag program. And that's all I have, unless there are questions.
Okay, let's move on to new business. 11.1, I need a motion of approval of the superintendent's 2024-2025 bond renewal.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mrs. Alcorn?
Yes.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes. I need 11.2, I need a motion of approval to authorize superintendent to approve July 2024 LP and ACC bills up to $4 million.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Alcorn?
Yes.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes. I need a motion for approval to authorize the superintendent to hire staff in July and August 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mrs. Alcorn?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes. I need a motion for, 11.4, I need a motion of approval for the resolution authorizing the superintendent to sell the surplus equipment, which in fact is the 2007 Chevy Express activity bus.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mrs. Alcorn?
Present.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes. 11.5, I need a motion of approval to transfer $90,000 from working cash fund interest to the education fund.
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mrs. Alcorn?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes. 11.6, I need a motion of approval to transfer the capital lease payment of $213,919 from the education fund,
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mrs. Alcorn?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes. 11.7, I need a motion of approval to award contracts for the following in 2024-2025. A, Prairie Farms, firm bid, milk and dairy, and B, Alpha Baking for bread.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Mrs. Alcorn?
Yes.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes. 11.8, any motion of approval of the main building health, life, safety amendment number 87 for Howard Fellows Stadium concrete repair for $578,606.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Alcorn?
Yes.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes. Any 11.9, a motion of approval to increase the outside sub rate pay from $18 per period to $23 per period.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Mrs. Alcorn?
Yes.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes. 11.10, I need a motion of approval to purchase the following equipment. A, 2 passenger golf carts from GCP Sales, Yorkville, Illinois for $19,000. B, steel green SG52 standard unit fertilizer spreader from Advanced Turf Solutions for $18,735. And C, the 21-foot disc safety netting and poles from Vernon Jones Construction for $17,580.
So
One more.
moved.
Is it D?
Oh, and D, I'm sorry. And D, 2 folding basketball backstops for Salette Gym from H21 Group for $32,840.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Alcorn?
Yes.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes. 11.11, a motion of approval of the 2024-2025 event administration fees, which are the same as last year.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mrs. Alcorn?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes. 11.12, need a motion of approval of the 2024-2025 board paid holidays.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Mrs. Alcorn?
Yes.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes. 11.13, I need a motion of approval for the 2024-2025 Board of Education calendar.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Alcorn?
Yes.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes. 11.14, I need a motion of approval of the athletic cup policy.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Mrs. Alcorn?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Pacetto?
No.
Mr. Sarver?
No. 11.15, I need a motion of approval to permanently adopt the final exam waiver policy.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mrs. Alcorn?
Yes.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes. 11.16, a motion of approval of the district discipline policy improvement plan.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mrs. Alcorn?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes. 11.17, I need a motion of approval of the press policy issue 114, second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Mrs. Alcorn?
Yes.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes. 11.18, a motion of approval of the following retirements with regret. Miss Angelique Deppenbrock, science teacher, effective conclusion of the 2028-2029 school year. And Mrs. Amy Williams, director of technology, effective June 30th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mrs. Alcorn?
Yes.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes. 11.19, a motion of approval of the following resignations. Mr. William Thompson, afternoon second shift, custodian foreman, effective May 20th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Mrs. Alcorn?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes. 11.20, I need a motion of approval of the following appointments. Mrs. Kelsey Manning, head cheer coach, effective for the 24-25 school year, replace Miss Emily Pytel. Mrs. Toma Newburn, Food service production staff cashier, effective the 24-25 school year, replaces Mrs. Gabriela Pentoa. Mrs. Becky Johnson, assistant cheer coach, effective for the 24-25 school year, replaces Mrs. Alika Kelly. Mr. Joey Goskuski, assistant football coach, effective for the 24-25 school year, replaces Mr. Matt Rebholz. Mrs. Becky Johnson, paraprofessional, effective for the 24-25 school year, replace Mrs. Nicole Hurst. Mrs. Aubrey Garrettson, voluntary woodwinds instructor, effective for the 2024-2025 school year. And Mrs. Kathleen Butke, assistant special education coach, effective for the 24-25 school year, replaces Miss Abigail Muskalewicz.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mrs. Alcorn?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes. 11.21, a motion of approval for the following paternity FMLA request. Mr. Scott Blessman, beginning on or about Monday, September 9th, 2024, and returning on Friday, September 13th, 2024. He'll be using his accumulated sick days to cover the leave.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Mrs. Alcorn?
Yes.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes. On a motion to go into executive closed session for A, discussion of the minutes of the meetings lawfully closed under the Open Meetings Act, whether for the purpose of approval by the body of the minutes or the semi-annual review of the minutes. B, appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of a specific employee. C, collective bargaining matters between the public body and its employees or the representatives, or deliberation concerning salary, schools for one or more classes of employees. And D, imminent pending litigation with open sessions, possible action items follow.
So moved.
Mr. Pacetto?
Yes.
Mrs. Alcorn?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrari?
Yes.
Mrs. Taliani?
Yes.
Dr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Sarver?
Yes.
Carol, what's the date on that August board meeting?
Wow, that went quickly.
The third Monday,
It
isn't
would be,
it?
or third Wednesday, that would be
Third
the
Wednesday?
21st.
Yeah, it would be the third Wednesday. I think June is the only, Scott. Why did you not want the cut policy?
For several reasons. None that have to do with my kids, but